On Christmas Day, my daughter opened a gift from her cousin and went pale. She clutched my hand and whispered, "Mom, I'm scared." Inside the box, a toy that belonged to my son, the one who disappeared 8 months ago and was presumed dead. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part? That toy came from my sister's house. And the truth she'd been hiding changed everything I thought I knew about family. If you'd asked me that morning, I would have said the worst part of Christmas was the stale eggnog, or maybe my dad's old record player skipping through Nat King Cole while he insisted it sounded vintage. I would have said it was the chaos, the messy family traditions where no one really listens to each other, and someone always ends up crying before dessert. But I would have been wrong. The worst part of Christmas was watching my 9-year-old daughter, Lily, freeze in the middle of the living room, with a shiny red gift box on her lap and terror in her eyes. She clutched my hand like she was falling through the floor, and she whispered, "Mom, something's wrong." We were at my parents' house. Same creaky floorboards, same scent of spiced candles and overcooked ham, same silent tension tucked under every festive smile. The living room was full, wrapping paper flying like snow, kids squealing over toys, adults talking over each other, half listening, half tired. It was loud, messy, familiar. And for a moment, just one, I saw Lily laugh, really laugh, the kind I hadn't seen since he disappeared. And I let myself exhale just a little. She was surrounded by a mountain of gifts, some from her cousins, some from my sister Nicole, some I didn't even recognize. I was sipping lukewarm cider, watching from across the room, when she picked up a box wrapped in bright red foil, carefully peeling back the tape like she always does. No ripping, just delicate fingers and patience. Then she stopped. Her shoulders stiffened, her little face went blank. I thought she was about to cry, but her expression didn't shift, it just froze. She didn't move, didn't speak. I put my cup down. That feeling, that drop in your stomach, that sixth sense only a parent understands, it hit me like a brick. She looked up, eyes wide and afraid. Then slowly, silently, she stood up, still holding the open box. She walked across the room toward me, step by step, like she was carrying something explosive. She reached for my hand and whispered, "Don't say it, just look." The box was small, light, ordinary. It looked like a toy, something you'd find in any bargain bin. But when I looked closer, my vision narrowed. There was a crack on the plastic wing, a hand-drawn marker line across the top. A tiny, crooked star Caleb had drawn himself, his little signature. My breath stopped. I didn't scream, didn't gasp. The noise around us kept going. My dad was still telling a joke. My mom was still rearranging dinner forks like they were national security. But all I could hear was Lily's breath. And mine. I closed the lid of the box slowly, took her hand, and whispered, "Let's go get some air." As we turned to leave, someone behind me said, "Everything okay?" I smiled like a woman made of glass. "She's just a little overwhelmed. We'll be right back." And with that, I walked out the front door holding my daughter in one hand, and the past, the kind you bury but it never stays buried, in the other. And in that moment I knew. Christmas was over, and the search had begun again. His name was Caleb, 7 years old. He had a dimple on only one cheek, a laugh that always came out in bursts, and a habit of saying, "Wait for me," even when no one was leaving. The last time I saw him, really saw him, he was running back toward the school doors, holding his lunchbox like it weighed nothing. It was April. A Thursday, mild breeze, blue sky, the kind of day you don't remember unless it turns into the worst day of your life. The school called just after noon. "Mrs. Gray, Caleb didn't come back after recess." I remember the silence in my ear before the words sunk in. I asked them to check again. They did, 3 times. He was gone. His backpack was found 3 hours later, dumped behind a hedge near the corner gas station, still zipped shut, still clean. Like someone placed it there with care. There was no footage, no witnesses, no tire marks, no ransom call. Just absence. The kind that grows louder every second it stays unanswered. Matt, my partner, the man who raised Caleb with me since he was 2, he went quiet. Not a dramatic silence, but the kind where you can hear his heart breaking between each breath he doesn't take. And Lily, she stopped sleeping. She started crawling into our bed again, like she used to when the thunder scared her. But this time, it wasn't thunder. It was Caleb's name on the news. It was the police at our door, asking the same questions over and over. It was the volunteers and flyers and vigils and strangers offering theories. He wandered off. He was taken. Maybe he ran away. He was 7. He couldn't cross a street alone without holding someone's hand. I stopped answering messages, stopped reading the updates, stopped pretending we'd get a call any minute. Instead, I folded his shirts. I kept his room clean. I sat in the doorway every night at 10:32 p.m., the exact time his teacher reported him missing, and whispered his name like it might echo far enough for him to hear it. People told us to move on. They said it kindly as people say impossible things. You need to eat. You need to rest. You need to be strong for Lily. What they didn't understand was, there's no version of strong when your child disappears between the lines of a perfectly ordinary day. We made a decision in late November. We would fake it. Just for Lily. We would show up to Christmas, smile, play our parts, let her open presents and eat too much sugar and believe in something magical, just for one more year. We wouldn't mention the empty seat. We wouldn't say his name unless she asked. We would survive the day and fall apart after. That was the plan. But then Lily opened that box. And everything we buried came back with a single crack in a plastic wing drawn by a boy who hadn't been seen in 8 months. And just like that, grief turned back into fear. Because if that toy was real, then maybe Caleb still was too. I didn't say anything as we walked to the car. I didn't have to. Lily's hand in mine said enough. She didn't ask questions. She didn't cry. She just walked beside me, her eyes on the ground, still holding that red box like it was made of glass and guilt. We stepped outside. The cold hit first, then the silence. The door closed behind us, and the muffled laughter from inside became just background noise, irrelevant, detached. I unlocked the car, and Lily slid into the back seat without a word. She curled up, knees to her chest, still in her sparkly dress, still clutching invisible fears. I sat in the front passenger seat, box on my lap, fingers numb. And for the first time in months, I felt like I was holding Caleb again. The toy was small, light, but it felt like a brick pressing against my ribs. I turned it over slowly, examining every edge like it might speak if I looked hard enough. The marker line, the scratch by the wing, the initials, CG, carved underneath in sloppy child handwriting. He made that the day after his birthday, I whispered. I didn't realize I'd said it aloud. From the back seat, Lily answered. Soft, steady. He took it to school the day he disappeared. I turned around to face her. Her eyes met mine in the mirror. There was no fear in her voice, just something older, something kids shouldn't have to carry. I picked up my phone. My hand trembled as I dialed. It rang twice. Then, 911, what's your emergency? I paused. My lips moved before my thoughts caught up. I need someone to come. I think we found something related to a missing child case. My son, Caleb Gray. He disappeared 8 months ago. I think his toy, it's here. Someone gave it to my daughter today as a Christmas gift. The dispatcher asked for my location, my name, my relation to the child. I answered like I was sleep-talking. I wasn't crying, not really, but my voice cracked anyway. They said officers would arrive shortly. I hung up, stared out the windshield. Snow had started to fall, soft, slow. It melted as it hit the glass. The world looked the same, and yet nothing felt familiar. Inside the house, someone burst into laughter again. I didn't even try to guess who. It didn't matter anymore. 15 minutes later, a cruiser pulled into the driveway. Not fast, not dramatic, just routine, like they were checking on a noise complaint or a raccoon in the attic. But for me, this was the moment everything changed. I stepped out of the car, box in hand, feet numb. The officer was young, polite. Are you Erica Gray? Yes. May I see the item? I handed it over like it might burn me. Explained the details in fragments. The toy, the markings, the date of disappearance, the gift tag with Amelia's name. I expected him to look confused, skeptical. He didn't. He looked down at the toy, tilted his head, and nodded slowly. We'll take it in. We'll look into it right away. And then he asked a question I hadn't expected. Is there anyone you suspect might have had access to this before today? I froze. My mouth opened, then closed. Then one name slipped out. Nicole. My sister. Nicole always had an excuse. Growing up, it was her allergies, or the teacher didn't like her, or it wasn't her fault the cat ran away, even though she'd left the door open for hours. And somehow, no matter what mess she made, she always found a way to land on her feet. Usually because someone, me, was already on their knees cleaning up behind her. We weren't close, not really, but she was my sister. And in our family, not close still meant obligated. Obligated to host, to invite, to forgive. Even when she showed up late, or short on rent, or high on drama. Nicole had a way of turning every family event into a performance, where she was the misunderstood lead and I was always cast as the responsible, silent understudy. After Caleb disappeared, Nicole vanished for a few weeks. She said she'd gone upstate, needed air, had to clear her head. I didn't ask questions, didn't have the energy to dig. She came back acting like the world hadn't changed, like my son wasn't still missing. She brought cupcakes for Lily and wine for Matt and a scarf for me like she'd just returned from vacation, not from absence. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. And now a toy that belonged to Caleb had shown up at Christmas, wrapped in red foil, tagged with her daughter's name, Amelia. 8 years old, shy, polite, always watching, rarely speaking. She'd hugged Lily when we arrived, sat cross-legged beside her unwrapping presents. How would she know? Where would she get that toy? The police asked to speak with Nicole and Amelia. They didn't make a scene, just stepped into the den like it was a formality. They came out 15 minutes later. The officer's face gave away nothing. Nicole had an explanation, of course she did. She said the toy had probably been left in their garage. They had toys everywhere, she said. Amelia must have picked it up, decided to gift it herself. No harm intended. She smiled as she said it. A tight, glossy smile. The kind you practice in front of a mirror. Matt arrived just then. He hadn't come earlier, couldn't face the crowd, he said. But now, as he stepped into the room and saw the cruiser parked outside, his jaw tightened. He stood beside me. I looked at him. He looked at the toy in the officer's hands. And without a word, we both knew this was real. An hour passed, the party dimmed. No one unwrapped anything anymore. The tree lights blinked mechanically. Presents sat unopened. Laughter had shrunk into whispers. I sat at the kitchen table. Matt leaned against the wall behind me, arms crossed. Nicole walked in holding a glass of wine like it was armor. "Everything settled now?" she asked, voice light. I didn't answer, I just stared. Matt's voice came instead. "He had that toy when he disappeared." Nicole blinked. "You can't be sure." I stood up. "We are. Lily remembers, I remember, Matt remembers. He never visited your house, Nicole, so how did his toy get there?" She laughed, but it was hollow. "Maybe he came over once and you forgot. Kids do that sometimes." Matt stepped forward. "We didn't forget." Nicole's smile wavered. Her glass trembled just slightly. Then she said something that changed everything. "Why are you doing this?" As if we were accusing her, as if she wasn't standing in front of the wreckage she helped build. I stepped closer. "Because the police will come back, Nicole, and when they trace that toy, when they find out how it got to you, you won't get the chance to explain it to us first." Her face drained of color. She looked down at her wine, then at me. Then she whispered, soft, barely audible, "Please, don't tell them yet." And that's when I knew. She wasn't just hiding the toy. She was hiding the truth. "Please, don't tell them yet." Those were her exact words. My sister, Nicole, the woman who once swore she'd take a bullet for me in high school, stood there in my parents' kitchen, asking for one more minute to delay the truth. Not deny it, not refute it, just delay. That's how I knew whatever was coming. It wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. "Then tell us first," I said. "Right now." She bit her lip. Her hands trembled, but she didn't drop the act just yet. Her eyes flicked to Matt, then to me, then to the floor. "It wasn't supposed to go that far," she whispered. "I thought it would just be one visit." That's when she said the name. "Danielle!" I blinked. "Matt's ex?" She nodded. "She called me, months ago. Said she just wanted to see Caleb. Just one time. She missed him, that's all. She said she wasn't looking for custody or drama, just closure." My skin went cold. "And you said yes?" "She offered me money," Nicole blurted. "I didn't ask, she just offered. Said she'd pay me $8,000 if I gave her the school's recess schedule and told her what day Caleb usually took lunch outside." I couldn't breathe. Matt's hands curled into fists. His jaw clenched, but he didn't speak. I think he was afraid that if he did, he wouldn't be able to stop. "You sold out your nephew for $8,000?" She winced. "No, I mean, yes, but I didn't think of it like that. You said you wouldn't help me anymore. I was drowning, Erica. I had bills, rent, Amelia's school fees. I thought it'd be 1 hour. That's what she said. 1 hour. I stared at her like I was looking at a stranger. "You let a woman we haven't heard from in years, who abandoned her son, walk into his life unannounced and take him?" "She promised she'd bring him back," Nicole insisted. "She said it would be quick. I thought I'd get the money and maybe you'd never even know." I felt the heat rush to my face, but my voice stayed low, steady. "You didn't even think about what would happen if she didn't bring him back." "I did," she said, voice cracking. "The next day I called her. She didn't answer. I called again. Nothing. And then I panicked. What was I supposed to do, Erica? Tell the cops I handed over your son to his father's ex for a couple $1,000? She laughed, but it wasn't a joke. It was desperation. "So you did nothing?" "I didn't know how to fix it." "You didn't even tell us." "I was going to, but every day that passed, it got harder. I thought maybe she'd bring him back. Maybe you'd just think he got lost or something. We thought he was dead." My voice finally cracked. "Matt buried him in his mind every night. Lily cried in her sleep for weeks. And you sat on this secret because you were behind on rent?" Matt turned away, his whole body stiff. Nicole was crying now, real tears. But they meant nothing. They were 6 months too late. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone," she whispered. "But you did." I could feel it, the slow crumbling of everything we'd been taught to believe about family. Blood, after all, is not always thicker than betrayal. You can't unmake choices, but you can answer for them. And Nicole, she was finally going to have to. They found her. 4 days after Nicole told the truth, the police called. We located Danielle Harper, the detective said. She was living under a false name in Grand Junction, Colorado. I don't remember sitting down. But suddenly, I was on the floor, back against the hallway wall, phone pressed to my ear like it was the only thing keeping me upright. He's alive. Those 2 words shattered something inside me, but not in the way pain shatters. This was different. Like something that had been frozen in my chest for months had cracked open just enough to let in air. They arranged a video call, said it was the quickest way to confirm identity while they sorted out transport and custody procedures. I didn't care how. I would have taken a blurred photo, a voicemail, a stick figure drawing. I just needed to see him. The call was set for 2:00 p.m. inside a conference room at the precinct. Matt and I sat side by side at a long wooden table. A laptop sat in the center, open, camera already on. A tech guy fiddled with the connection, making small talk we didn't answer. Lily stayed home with my mom. I couldn't bring her, not until I knew for sure. The screen flickered. A blank wall, then a figure stepped into frame. And there he was. Caleb. His hair was longer. He looked older somehow, not in age, but in something behind the eyes. Like he'd seen too much for someone who still mixed up the days of the week. He wasn't smiling, but it was him. I forgot how to breathe. "Hi, sweetheart," I managed. My voice broke halfway through the word. He stared at the screen, expression guarded, not angry, just unsure. Then he spoke. Quiet, careful. "She told me you didn't want me." My heart dropped. "She said you told her to come get me, that you were tired of me, that Lily needed more attention." Matt sat up straighter, his hand clenched on the edge of the table. "That's not true," I said quickly. "Caleb, that is not true." "We never stopped looking for you," Matt added. His voice was thin but steady. "You're ours, always." Caleb looked down, rubbed at his sleeve with one hand, then looked back up. I didn't believe her, not at first. But she kept saying it, over and over, and I didn't know what to think. I leaned forward. "You know now, right?" He nodded, just once. But it was enough. A voice off camera told us we had to wrap up. "We're coming to get you," Matt said. "We're bringing you home." Caleb didn't smile, but he didn't look afraid anymore either. "Okay," he said, "I'll be here." The screen went dark. But the light inside me didn't. It burned. Soft at first, then brighter. Because for the first time in 6 months, we knew where he was. And he knew we never let go. That night, I sat alone in the living room. The Christmas lights still blinked behind me, blinking like nothing had changed, and yet everything had. I didn't cry loudly. I just let the tears come, slow and clean, like the first drops of rain after the longest drought of your life. He was coming home, and this time, no one was going to take him from us again. He came home on a Thursday. It was cloudy, gray sky, thin drizzle hanging in the air like the world hadn't made up its mind to rain or not. We waited on the train platform, me, Matt, and Lily, just behind the yellow line, just barely breathing. When the train pulled in, my heart stopped, not in fear, in awe. A caseworker stepped off first, clipboard in hand. Then Caleb. He was holding a duffel bag that looked too big for his frame. His shoes didn't match, his coat wasn't his, but his eyes, those were still his. He looked around the platform like he wasn't sure this was real. And then Lily ran. No hesitation. She sprinted to him like the world depended on it, wrapped her arms around his middle and didn't let go. Caleb dropped the bag. And for the first time in 6 months, he held on to something that wouldn't let him fall. I walked up slower. Matt stayed behind me, frozen, unsure if this was still a dream. I knelt. "Hey, baby." Caleb looked at me, then stepped forward and buried his face in my coat. That was the moment. Not the train, not the court orders, not the caseworker's signature. This hug, this breath, this boy, warm, real home. The weeks that followed weren't easy. Caleb didn't speak much. He flinched when doors opened too fast. He woke up crying some nights, mumbling apologies we couldn't quite understand. He slept with the light on. He asked where we were, even when we were standing right beside him. Lily never left his side. She followed him around the house like a little shadow, bossy and sweet and determined to make him smile. One night I walked past his room and found them on the floor. They were coloring, no words, just crayons and silence. Then Caleb looked up and said, "Can we get pizza tomorrow?" It was the first full sentence we'd heard since he came back. Matt smiled, I nodded. "Of course, sweetheart, you pick the toppings." Nicole was arrested 2 days after we gave our full statement. Accessory to custodial interference, obstruction, child endangerment. She took a plea deal, 18 months in county jail, 3 years probation, and permanent restriction from working with minors. She cried in court. Said she was trying to help. Said she thought she was giving someone a second chance. The judge didn't buy it. Neither did we. Danielle, Caleb's biological mother, was extradited from Colorado. She pled guilty. 4 years, no contact order, psychiatric evaluation. In court, she said, "I wasn't trying to hurt him. I just missed him. I wanted to fix something I broke. But some things don't get fixed with apologies. Some things don't deserve a second chance." My parents didn't take it well. They said Nicole had made a mistake, that she deserved compassion, that Caleb wasn't really mine anyway. "You're not even his real mother," my mother said. "He has a mother. Maybe this was meant to be." I didn't argue, I didn't scream. I just said, "So did you." Then I blocked their number. A year later, Caleb laughed. Not just a chuckle, a full-body laugh. The kind that starts in your belly and ends in your eyes. Lily had done something ridiculous with ketchup and a spoon, and he lost it. Matt and I looked at each other. We didn't say anything. We didn't need to. He goes to school again now, draws comics, sleeps through the night. Sometimes he calls me Mom without realizing it. I never correct him. Not everything that breaks stays broken. Some things get rebuilt. Some things, like love, come home. And when someone endangers your child, there is no such thing as going too far. Family isn't about blood. It's about who fights for you when no one's watching, and who betrays you when it costs them nothing. I got my son back, but the family I thought I had, that version of love is gone. If this story touched you, share it. Let someone else know. Even the deepest betrayal can lead to the fiercest strength. And if you've ever rebuilt something from the ashes, you're not alone. Tell me your story in the comments. I'll be right there reading with you.